Hi, we're the Huge Movie Fanatics here, and we're going to do a review for A Good Day to Die Hard. And I will just pass it off right here to Nate. He can start.
So this is the fifth Die Hard movie, right?
It is the fifth Die Hard movie.
And probably the worst.
There is no probably about it.
Alright. I saw it once and it's been a while. I was going to rewatch it this week, but I've been so busy just out on the lake that I didn't have a chance. But I probably saw most of what there is to see the first time. I don't know. I mean, I think we talked about it before briefly. Like, why couldn't it just be like? Because we already did the young guy and the sidekick in the last one. So why not? It would have been so cool to have his daughter be the sidekick or something. You could have done something. You know, but instead it's this guy who's like his son who's all in trouble. I can't even remember what. He's all. I think the word, by the way, I'm pretty sure the word terrorist was said like 3 or 4 times in this movie. I don't like that word in movies. It's propaganda. Movies is propaganda.
Well, I mean, like the Die Hard movies are always him finding a terrorist.
That's true.
The idea.
That's true, but you know, whatever. So I don't know. I can't remember what happened. Maybe you can review and I'll take it off.
Well, okay, so I've seen this movie twice. I bought the Blu-ray when it came out, and I'd heard from some trusted folk that it was pretty damn awful. And I was like, yeah, but it's Die Hard, so it's gotta be worth owning, right? And then, so I watched the theatrical cut, because why not? It was shorter.
Sometimes.
It was shorter, I was like, fuck it. This is the version that they saw, maybe I'll see something differently that they didn't. And I saw it, and my god, it is just pretty damn awful. At least the daughter was in it for like a scene or two.
If she's back at all, just have her be in it.
Right, that was exactly my thing. It's like, if you're gonna have her, use her. She was an interesting character that you developed in the previous movie. Now you're developing the other kid, like, that I don't care about, because you spent no time in the previous 4 movies. Like, you're lucky I cared about the girl. And so I was just like, alright, whatever, okay, so we're gonna go with it. And the son is completely uninteresting and not particularly a good actor. Like, there's no good character development. John McClane is annoying as sin in this movie. Like,
really?
he is just...
What's he do?
Nothing. Well, first of all, it doesn't feel like a Die Hard movie. He's on the outskirts of the action, whereas, like, in the other 4 movies, he's directly in the center of the action, interrupting everything. Whereas in this, he's chasing after the bad guys, and he's always behind, and it's like... That's not how Die Hard is. Die Hard is, John McClane is supposed to be the one screwing up everything, and it's like, if you take John McClane out of this movie and just have it be about the son, it would be no different. It would just be like a generic summer movie that came out in February.
Invasion USSR.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this was a nothing kind of movie. And I just was so disappointed. I didn't laugh a single time. Like, John McClane usually has a couple good one-liners.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing remotely amusing. I was just done with the whole John McClane thing, which is so disappointing. So then I was like, alright, I finished the movie and it sucked. There's an extended cut. Maybe that'll be better. And it was interesting because, no, it wasn't better. They took the daughter out. They took out her scenes, and in that scene where he was talking to her, like, and then he was talking to her, and then he gets out of the car, and she's like, "Bye, Dad," and whatnot, and then drives off. They jump from him going to the airport to him getting out of the car, and they dub over a guy going, "Bye, John." So it's not even her voice. They just cut her out, and I'm like, I have no idea. Like, all I can think of was like, the extended cut was probably the test screening cut. The test screeners were like, this sucks. This has no ties to the previous movie. It doesn't feel like a Die Hard movie.
So we better get
So suddenly it's like, we need her, and then they pulled her, and that was all the best they could do.
Well, what was the extended stuff?
That was pretty, like it was just like some little action sub espionage. Like there was no, I can't remember. Like it was just so uninteresting, and I think it was only like 2 minutes difference. Like, I mean, for all I know, that could have been the credits stretched longer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, God, this is so bad. And I have some like interesting tidbits of information about the movie. If you're interested in hearing after, like, we give star reviews, I'm gonna give this movie a half a star. This is the worst Die Hard movie, without a doubt. One of the worst action movies because it's just completely bland and uninteresting, and the worst theatrical film I've seen this year. What would you give?
Oh, okay. I'll quickly, I'll say that I guess I'll give it 2 stars for just some of the action I liked. I have like a nice home theater and it sounded really good. For me, it was worth 2 stars. It was just a dumb action movie, but you know, you're right. I mean, Die Hard, is this the last Die Hard? Probably.
No, supposedly,
no.
McClane says they're coming back with the 6th one.
What do you mean McClane says?
Bruce Willis.
Oh, Bruce Willis.
Because, I mean, at this point, he's not playing John McClane, he's playing himself, it seems.
Oh, yeah, like Bruce Campbell.
Pretty much.
Let me shut up. No, just kidding. Let me just, I don't know. I guess I don't have a lot to say. I guess for me it was dumb, cool. Some of the 2-star action, like the chase, and there was a chase I thought was kind of cool. But I mean, overall, I mean, just, you're right. I mean, like, take the word Die Hard out of it, and you wouldn't know, or something. What am I saying? Even with the word Die Hard, you wouldn't know. I don't know. I guess you're right. It just doesn't seem like a Die Hard movie, you know. I don't have a lot to say. What were you gonna say?
Alright, it's interesting that you say that, because both of our problems with this movie was like, alright, this is a Die Hard movie that does not feel like a Die Hard movie. Hell, even that Kevin Smith cop-out movie that he did with Bruce Willis felt more like a Die Hard movie, and it's sad when that movie is better than this one. I mean, Christ. But anyway.
Win, sorry.
So,
Natural gas.
I read about this movie afterwards, and I was interested to discover that the first Die Hard movie was not intended to be a Die Hard movie. It was actually supposed to be a vehicle for Frank Sinatra to star in, and like his own action franchise featuring the character of John McClane, which was based after this book called The Detective. And so I was like, oh, so this is based after a book. This was the first. A Good Day to Die Hard is the first one that's not inspired by a book or an already existing piece of work, which I thought was kind of interesting. So Die Hard was supposed to be like the detective for Frank Sinatra. It went through development hell until Bruce Willis came in there and made it his own thing. The second one was never supposed to be a Die Hard movie. It was supposed to be this movie based on this book called 88 Minutes, and then the studio was having trouble financing it, so they dropped the John McClane character in it because it was also about a terrorist. So then they were like, well, he was fighting the Russians in the first one, and so in the second one, he was fighting the Russians in the second one. In the first one, he was fighting Hans Gruber, and then so I was like, so then yeah. That was the second movie. The third one was actually supposed to be a Lethal Weapon movie, and they couldn't get it to happen. So then they just sort of rewrote it and changed the characters up a little bit, dropped John McClane instead of Mel Gibson, and there you go. You get Die Hard with a Vengeance, and then they brought ties into the first Die Hard movie, and that was how they did it. The fourth one was a movie that was actually in production like in 2001, and was about like the terrorists coming and destroying like America's social structure with money, and then September 11th hit, and Fox immediately shelved it. They're like, we cannot do anything like this, and they did the same thing with like Collateral Damage and a couple other movies. They held on to it for about 5 years, and then they decided to revive it, but they were having trouble doing it, so they're like, well, let's make this a John McClane movie, and they dropped his character into it. That's all good and interesting, right? And then it became, I think, the best of the Die Hard sequels. So then this one comes around. This one was the first Die Hard movie written to be a Die Hard movie, and it doesn't feel like a freaking Die Hard movie. And I was just like, that is fascinating to discover.
Yeah.
And I was like, interesting, knowing the history of the franchise, that the worst one, and the one that feels so dissimilar from all the other ones, is the one that was intended to be the sequel.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I hope that they take the format they've had from the past, where they just find another script with development hell and then drop the character in.
You know, Lethal Weapon, whatever, 6, they'll make into Die Hard 6.
Yes.
Or how many Lethal?
5?
Yeah, there's 4, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's been a Lethal Weapon 5 they've been trying to do for 10 years, and they'll just turn it.
Shane Black apparently has the script for it and everything. So.
All right, that was kind of long, maybe. So I don't know. Like I say, for me, 2.5 stars, pointless action. It sounds good on home theater. Just, I don't know. I wish Mary Elizabeth was in there and she would have just been like, Daddy.
Or Justin Long. Like, I liked his kind of character.
He was pretty good in that movie.
Yeah, like, why not just continue on with that? But
Oh well. Thanks for watching.
Maybe they'll do one last one, like a super movie
Family
where they
Unite.
have Argyle and like who's the beat cop from the first one, and then have Justin Long and Sam Jackson. And,
Argyle. That's like Lethal Weapon 4. Then they have all the gangs all
Yeah,
here or
exactly,
something
yeah.
like that.
yeah,
Die Hard 5 or 6. Would it be 6?
yeah, it'd be 6.
The gang's all here.
And I still think that if you just mash all the titles together, you can create one super title: A Good Day to Live Free or Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Harder with a Vengeance.
We gotta let this guy make movies for real because that sounds like fun.
Yeah, the family reunion of all these characters. Like, man, we've been through some shit. Then the terrorist happens to strike.
When you said Argyle, I was just like, tears came to my eyes. It's like, who the hell else remembers Argyle? I got tears in my eyes.
I'm sure he's not doing anything, so like.
Well, he's probably
could be.
sniffing some stuff. All
We need a
right.
limo driver. I knew one in L.A.
Yeah, where's this take place? Alaska. Die Hard, Alaska.
Oh, I would actually watch this movie.
Which movie?
the fake one that we're developing right now.
So would I.
All right. Yeah. And I'm sure Sam Jackson does anything now. He'd come back.
Yeah.
Like,
I
that
think
would be
you're right.
hard. You could get the cast from all the movies back together to do it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right. That's the end, folks.
Thanks for watching. Yippee-ki-yay, son of a gun.
Dave said that, and maybe I'm sure they
They
did. I've
said
seen
in
it
the
twice, and
trailer.
I can't remember.
You can't remember.
I'm sure they did.
They must have.
They were swearing up a storm in it. They're like, well, the last one was PG-13, and people didn't like that,
So we're gonna.
so we're going to swear up a storm. And people didn't like it. Oddly enough, yeah, the PG-13 one. When a PG-13 Die Hard is better than your
Rated R.
R-rated Die Hard.
Maybe the
so it's
rating
like-
isn't that important.
No.
All right, can we end? Thanks for watching.